Hey YouTubers, I'm back to share with you a set of headphones I've been sitting on for a while. Not literally, but figuratively, meaning I've had them for maybe a month or so and listened to them quite a bit, and I'm only now getting around to talking about them. And the reason for that is because I want to take the time to really, understand what they sound like and form an opinion on them. So what are the headphones? The headphones are Koss ESP-950 Electrostatic headphones. So this is a departure for me. I've never owned electrostatic headphones. I've always heard they sound amazing, and I thought I wanted to try it out. I was able to listen to a pair at the RMAF this year, the Can Jam part of RMAF. Koss was there, and they had a station with a couple of pairs of these. And it's real hard to tell, when you're in a loud environment like that, but it seemed to me they sounded really good. And I came back with this as one of the products I thought was really interesting, and maybe I would give it a shot. And so I did. I actually tried to order from Koss, and they had some sort of supply chain issue or whatever, and they couldn't actually honor my order. So I ended up finding a pair on eBay. These retail for $9.99, so $999. They're not inexpensive. I found this pair on eBay for $600. And I think that's not uncommon to find them for $500 or $600 on eBay. Now, why did I feel safe buying them on eBay? Because they've got an amazing guarantee. It's conditional, but in reality, from what I've read on forums and so forth, it's unconditional. And you just send the phones in, the amp in, whatever's busted, they either repair or replace it, and you don't pay anything other than shipping. And Koss is an American company, so the shipping won't even be that much. And as I'll talk about, they weigh nothing, so again, shipping will not be all that expensive. So how do these differ from other headphones? First off, they're not dynamic. They're planar, but they are planar electrostatic, and you'll never hear anybody say planar electrostatic. That's because, I don't know why, because you don't. They're planar in the sense that the driver is flat. And they are, that's a similarity between these and planar magnetic phones. It's just that the thing that drives them, that makes the driver move, is different. In planar magnetics, you've got magnets essentially attached to the drivers, which are a mylar-like material, and the magnetic field is varied to make the sound, to move the drivers. And with electrostatics, it's a little different. Electrostatics work off of, strangely enough, static electricity, and essentially the driver is placed in a very high voltage electric field, and that field is varied. I don't really understand the science of it completely. I have a feel for it, but there's a very high voltage. Think of a Van de Graaff generator and somebody's hair flying out. It's that kind of voltage that's going into these things, but no current to speak of. I even read somewhere it's currentless. So they're a little different in that sense. The headphones themselves are powered. The musical signal is then used to cause changes in how the charge reacts with the diaphragms, and that's what causes them to make sound. The diaphragm is a horrible explanation, but the diaphragms are extremely, extremely thin and light. They're even thinner and lighter than those that are in planar magnetics. So these are extremely fast, very responsive drivers. They're also fairly large, as you can see here. So they can produce pretty good bass. Electrostatics aren't considered a bassy headphone. So they don't have as much bass power, for example, as these Audizies do, or some other closed phones, that kind of thing. But they definitely produce bass that has been very satisfactory to me, and it's clean, and it's textural. I mean, everything comes through these headphones. They're extremely detailed, and that's because of the lightweight diaphragm and its ability to move in much less time than a heavy magnet-driven cone, or even these mylar sheets essentially that are inside these planar magnetics. So they're capable of a lot of resolution. They'll make good music sound really, really good, and badly recorded music will not sound good at all. They are very essentially they're very truthful. So you know, that's something you have to consider if you're thinking about something like this. So in terms of sound, I like them better than my LCD2s, and that's saying a lot. The LCD2s are incredible headphones. I think to sort of describe the difference, I would say the LCD2 has a real thick, meaty kind of mid-range. It's got sort of a dark sound to it. The highs are there. They're great sounding phones. You'll be happy with them. You buy these, you're going to love them. But they have this sort of a mid-range and upper bass kind of, in my opinion now, after having listening to these. You know, that's what they sort of thrive on. The Koss, it's hard to find the words, but I find them to be, this is a crazy word for listening to headphones, fresh. They sound very fresh. It's like there's nothing in between the music and your ears. It's just being piped straight in. The bass, as I said, is good. Not super deep, not super powerful, but good and there. The mids are to die for. The treble is awesome. Super detailed, but not annoying. I didn't notice any sibilance in these, anything like that. So, at the risk of sounding like, oh, my favorite headphones are the last ones I bought, my favorite headphones are the last ones I bought. It's these guys right here. So let's move on to the other aspects of these headphones. First off, they are not very impressive in build. I'll be perfectly honest with you. They feel kind of like a child's toy. Not impressive at all. Mostly plastic, mostly kind of you know, crispy plastic. They feel like they would break if you drop them. I'm going to try not to drop them. About the only piece of metal in here is this the adjustment band here, and that's metal and it kind of snaps into the cups. This all comes apart very easily, and I'll describe why in a moment. The cable's fine. It's pretty flexible, and I like the fact that out of the box you get a short cable and there's an extension cable in there. This cable is just right for sitting at a desk and listening to music. It's pretty microphonic. The headphones themselves are very microphonic. You move your head around, you're going to hear squeaks and that sort of thing. So, you know, don't do this while you're listening and you'll be fine. They come with an amplifier, but it's not really an amplifier. These are electrostatics, so this is called an energizer. And this guy's job is to get that massive voltage running in these phones. It is as light and cheap feeling as the headphones are. It can't weigh more than 3/4 pounds. I haven't looked at the specs, but it's light. If you were to put it in a rack with real heavy cables, you might have to weigh it down to keep it from tilting up or something. So it's not awe-inspiring in terms of its feel, but it produces the right sounds out of these phones, and the phones sound beautiful. So you kind of have to put aside the build quality feel here. You have to just go off the sound quality. One nice thing is the headphones ship with this bag, and this is a real leather bag, and that's pretty nice. It's like kind of crazy. I wish they had just leave the bag out and spend a little more time on the construction quality of the thing you're going to listen to. But it's a really nice inclusion, and the phones are shipped to you in the bag. As I said, the headphones come apart really easily, and you just slide the headband and the separate cups into here. And Koss nicely provides an extension cord, and this is pretty long. This is an extension cord for the headphones, and a few audio cables that nobody will probably use, but it's nice for them to include them. There's also a battery pack, believe it or not, for the Energizer. This runs 6 C batteries, and I think it'll play for about 2 hours, maybe 3. Haven't tried it yet. And then there's a strap in here for the bag. And this is a super nice way to transport your headphones. It's kind of comparable to the wood or the plastic waterproof case that Audeze includes. It's the same kind of idea. It's a nice way to transport and protect your headphones. So how have I been listening to these things? Well, I've pretty much been using this little desktop setup that I've had in a couple of other videos. I've got my MacBook Air here with a trick Amazon USB cable that lights up. And I've been listening using iTunes And also TAC. This is a TAC DAC right here. It's a DSD DAC. I've been using TAC's little DSD application or playback application that will play DSD and super high res files and that sort of thing. So I've listened to every quality of file you can imagine, from double DSD down to some music that I ripped many years ago, so it's like 160 kbps. Honestly, it all sounds great on these headphones and through this DAC and through this Energizer. I've got zero complaints. I didn't really notice, people complain about low-res files. I didn't notice any of that. I enjoyed everything that I turned on, unless it was poorly recorded. The fidelity is so high on these headphones, as I mentioned before. Something that's poorly recorded is going to sound pretty poor. A little bit more about the DSD DAC. I haven't done a review. I keep thinking that I'm going to. I haven't gotten around to it yet. This is a TAC UD501, and this is a, I want to call it a high-end DAC, but high-end DACs get really insane. But this is not an inexpensive DAC. I think it's around an $800 DAC. This goes up to double DSD and down to whatever MP3 you want to feed it, and does a really nice job of it. I'll eventually do a fuller review on it, but that's what I've been using to play the files from my laptop, and it's done very nicely, no complaints there. So that's the setup I've been listening to these on. Let me tell you, if you're looking for some incredible headphones and you don't mind having to have a dedicated amp, by the way, you can run other amps to drive these. You can use Stax amps, for example. Stax, S-T-A-X, is another electrostatic headphone manufacturer, and they're very high-end. You can get adapters, and you could use a Stax amplifier with this. Woo Audio also makes an Energizer. They have an Energizer. It's not terribly expensive. It's not cheap. It's $500, and that uses your speaker outputs and allows you to play your headphones from your speaker outputs via the amp. They also make a very high-end electrostatic amp for Stax headphones. Both of the amps are for Stax headphones. But you can adapt. There are adapters for the cable, and you can change it to a Stax end and use these headphones on Stax compatible amplifiers. So you don't have to stick with this guy, although I think it's fine. So there's one thing I want to point out. These headphones, aside from the build quality, they are known to have some other issues, and that's where the lifetime warranty comes in, and you're glad that they have it. This pair actually does it a little bit. Sometimes they can produce spurious sounds. Like I get a real low level squeal out of these headphones. It's very quiet, but you can hear it in between songs. It's not constant. I probably hear it maybe 50% of the time between songs when I'm listening. It's a little disturbing, but if you read around on the forums, you'll find it's very common. It's not unusual at all, and it could happen with a brand new set of headphones. So I feel fine about buying these off eBay used. If the noise gets to a point where I just can't stand it anymore, then I'll return them for repair or replacement and hope that the next pair doesn't do it at all. Again, I'm mentioning it only to be complete. It's not a big issue, in my opinion, with these. I can kind of live with it, and it's not there all the time, and it's only between songs that I hear it. So I do want to point it out, however. It's worth knowing. From what I've heard, some of the Stax can do similar things. So, even the most expensive electrostatics do have some of these issues. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting these. Aside from that and the sort of chintzy build quality, 2 huge thumbs up on these headphones. I really, really love them. So I hope that was interesting to you, and I'll catch you later.